I also wrote a book about my life in the spectrum called An Autism Unscripted Life, which I have it over here. In this book, I talk about my life in the spectrum, from childhood to adulthood. I talk about the challenges that I went through in all areas of my life, from being nonverbal, struggles with social communication, all the way towards accomplishing key life goals, which I'm going to talk about today. So I also have it in Spanish, como una vida autista sin libreto. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my life in the spectrum and how I was able to overcome those challenges. So I'm very grateful for all of you to be here. First things first, I want to give a very special thanks to Wanda. She came up with the idea to make it all happen, and we met, as collaborators in the program Despierta Orlando through Univision, and here we are. So thank you, Wanda, again. So we can make it happen. So let us begin. So a little bit about myself. I was diagnosed with autism at age 3. As a person in the spectrum, I went through challenges that are common with other people that have autism, specifically Asperger's. But I also went through challenges that may not be common for a person in the spectrum. As I mentioned, I was nonverbal until age 4. After age 4, I took different types of therapy in order to improve my verbal skills up to a level in which I was able to communicate more normally with other people. I went through struggles of communication, anxiety, and for me, what has been the biggest challenge of my life has been, struggling and building relationships and connections with other people. So, that was the challenges that I was going through, especially, through my school life. I didn't know what I had until I was age 14 when I found out about autism. And as a result of the struggles that I was going through and the way that I went through a lot of different types of situations. Being misunderstood by other people, especially the other students in school, which led to different types of unfortunate situations. For example, bullying, rejection by the other students, not being understood, and because of the way that I was talking, the way that I talk, the way that I communicate, the way I behave. A lot of times I'm trying to understand what they did, why they did, the way they talk, in order to create a connection. But it was always a struggle, time and time again. And as a result, I went through different types of bullying, some situations that I don't even wish are my worst enemy. And especially during high school. I was attacked, I even went through cyberbullying. I went through different, people saying things that were not true. And as a result of those attacks, I went through severe depression and anxiety, and I was trying to escape from all of this through my hobbies, at home. But it was a very tough situation. But there was something within me that pushed me to keep going despite all the obstacles. Not only in school, but also I went through challenges at home. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old, so I was living with my mom for the first 10 years, and then she had to move because she got sick. We had to move with my dad. I had 2 older siblings. So there was a lot of changes going on, in addition to what I was going through in school. So I felt that I was really on my own, dealing with all of this. You may expect that a person in whether has autism or a disability will have all the full support of the family and your friends, but in my case, it wasn't like that. I'm not saying that my parents didn't help me out, they did. But it was different types of situations, and I was in the middle of all of this. But somehow, some way, I was able to overcome those challenges, and eventually, I was able to do very well in school. gained the support of several teachers throughout my school life. And as a result, I was able to graduate from high school with a 3.9 GPA, despite all the situations that I was going through. So basically, I graduated from high school. I was, relieved that, this was all the bullying, all the rejection, all the situations was over, and I got into college. But the good thing about being in college was that the situations that I went through of bullying were no longer there, but still the struggles of building connections and building friendships with other people were still there. And I was trying everything. I was doing everything I could to create those connections and those friendships with other people. And those was one, if not the main struggle that I went through in college. I went through a struggle of selecting a major for college. Because people were telling me, family were telling me to study this, study that, trying to find something that you would try to like, what will make you the most money, or do that. It was confusion. And that increased my anxiety. That was because I didn't know what to do or where to go. So I decided to study engineering the first year of college. And that first year of college was rough. Usually I was a straight A student, and I became like a straight, I have C's, D's, B's, and in my first year of college. It was very tough. Because in addition to dealing with, my academic area and stuff, still struggles with friendships. Also, I was going through a lot of tough situations in my family. So it was a very, 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 very tough first year. As a result, I had to change majors to psychology. The reason why I changed to psychology was I was trying to find something. I changed to psychology as a way to find a solution to the problems that I was going through in my life. But still, that didn't work. So as a result of all the struggles and one setback after another, I had no choice but to leave college for a time being. It was a move in which I barely have any support. Some people were telling me that you're not going to go back to college, that I'm going to be a failure, and all the negative things, even from people that never supported me in the first place. But I stood by this. I stood by this decision because I needed to take a breather, basically. Think about what I was doing, so that way I can find a way to accomplish what I came here to do. So after leaving college, I moved from Puerto Rico to Florida. I moved with my mom. And then it was a lot of struggles. She was struggling financially, and it was for me a time to take more responsibilities in my life. For example, find a job, which I never had a job before I came here. I was trying to find a job over there, but I didn't have the support, and it was a struggle. So I had to find a job that would be a fit for a person in the spectrum. But the problem was that I was having difficulties finding that job and finding that position. And as time went by, the financial situation of the household, with my mom now, was getting more tough. So as a result, I was able to find anything that came up. And I was able to find a job in an area that, according to most society, I'm not even supposed to be doing, or that will be too much for me or any other thing, which is in the area of customer service and retail sales, which is a position that I don't know if many of you, if not all of you, know that customer service is 100% social communication, especially patients. Customer service, that's the number one thing that you will need. Because you deal with different types of people, different types of personalities, different types of situations. So many of you that work in retail, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So yes, I got my first job in this environment, and for me, I was like trying to say, okay, let's try to make this work. Let's not use my disability as an excuse to not do this job. So I was trying to find ways to improve my communication skills as much as I could. And it was a struggle because one of the challenges that I had being in the autism spectrum was dealing with a lot of things at the same time. A lot of multitasking. That's one of the things that has affected me, in the spectrum. When so many things come in at the same time, I get like my anxiety levels go up. I get like in a state of, like I don't know what to do, and I become like frozen or something. What I'm going to do with all the things that are coming at me at the same time. In addition to that, I was dealing with different types of people, different types of personalities, being, insulted by different customers, even coworkers, because of the way I talk, the way I communicate. And it's like, I felt like I went back to school in the first couple of months, and it was a lot of frustration. And it got to a point in which I almost give up. I was like, you know what, I almost threw in the towel. And let me see, okay, let me leave this job and try again to find something that will be a fit for me as a person in the spectrum. And I was at the lowest point of my life. I was blaming everything, the past, people that hurt me, that bullied me, that rejected me, family circumstances, even blaming autism for the struggles that I was going through in my life. But it got to a point in which I was like, you know what, this is not working. I can no longer blame autism or other people or the past for what I was going through. And it was at that moment that I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna let this determine what I can and cannot do in my life. So basically, I decided to not give up, and to continue fighting and find a way of making it happen. Whether I win or lose, but I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna go away that easy. I'm gonna fight to make sure that I do this position to the very best of my ability, regardless of my autism or any other condition. So as a result, I put myself, to continue from experience, practice, improve my communication skills as much as I could, and have the mission in that job of how can I help the customer, how can I help my coworkers to exceed our goals, what can I contribute to the employer. And as a result, through trial and error and struggles, training, I was able to, get to a level in which I was able to focus on that one thing, which is to help the customer and find a solution, be that problem solver, despite having autism. And as a result, I was with that employer for 1 year, in an area that, again, according to most society, I'm not supposed to be doing. So basically, I was with that employer for a year. Then I went through different struggles with another job, and it was still struggles. It was a lot of struggles in all the areas. It felt like I became a burden, and it got to a point because of all the struggles, all the problems that I was going through in my life, from childhood all the way to that point. It got to a point in which I said, you know what, I'm about to throw in the towel. But I didn't. Because something kept me going, despite all the adversity that was hitting me day in and day out. So as a result, after that experience, I went back to college in August of 2013. Still not sure what I was going to do or what major I was going to go in. I decided to go to do business, to do a bachelor's degree in business. The reason for it is because I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to be in a better position financially, so that way I can also be able to help mom in this case and help others, and also to be able to finish my bachelor's degree, to not leave that like incomplete, basically. So I went back to college. I got my associate's degree, and it was back in 2014. And let me show you here. So went back to college in 2013. Got my associate's degree in 2014, And and it wasn't that year 2014 that is critical, because a lot of important things happened in that year that have been the key towards helping me achieve the goals and lead me to the position that I'm in today. Because in addition to graduating with my associate's degree, that was the first year that I started to volunteer for autism organizations. Because I was thinking about helping others with autism, but I was not able to do so, or didn't have the will to do it. But it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I put out a mission in which it said that I'm going to do everything possible in making sure that other people with autism and other disabilities did not go through what I went through. So I decided that day, to volunteer for an autism organization at the annual autism walk and build that connection with the autism community starting in 2014. Volunteer with the Autism Society Upgrader Orlando, which I'm going to talk about a little bit once I go to my autism advocacy. But that was the first year I started doing advocacy work in the autism and disabilities community. So in my second time in college, I felt that in contrast to my first time in college, I felt like now I was learning the skills and getting the experience that would truly help me in achieving my goals and achieving my mission in life. For example, I took an accounting class as part of the program of my bachelor's degree. And my accounting professor not only helped me with accounting, but also she helped me to be able to learn very critical skills. One, if not that critical skill, was networking. Networking has to do with an area that I was struggling the most throughout my life, which is social communication. And she helped me to go to the different business events, be able to how to meet people, how to shake hands, how to give your business cards, and how to build, be able to meet other companies. And she helped me to do that. She also helped me how to do a resume. And also how to go to different business dinner events and how to behave, how to eat the right way while being in a business dinner with other leaders. So for me, it felt like a type of therapy in which it was helping me to further improve my communication skills to the best of my ability. And I'm very grateful for her in not only more for the accounting, but more important for teaching me those skills. That despite as a person with autism, be able to learn those skills were very critical towards accomplishing the other key goals of my life, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. So I'm very grateful for her, not only as a teacher, but also more important as a mentor. So I was learning different classes, in my bachelor's degree program. Taking classes like sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, project management, and learning those, also learning those soft skills, which are critical, not only for a person with a disability, but for all of us, in order to achieve our goals in life, whatever those goals may be. So it got to a point in which during my final semester of college, I was part of a group project called Capstone. And the group project was that we were working with the city of Sanford in creating a proposal that would create a program to help senior citizens to use Uber within the city of Sanford. They wanted to come up with a proposal that would help seniors how to use Uber as a method of transportation. And doing that project, I was going through a lot of different challenges, more within the group than the project itself. One of those challenges had to do with leadership, how to deal with different members of the group, because it put me as a leader. And my responsibility as leader of that group was to make sure that every person in that group was doing their task, were doing their role. And the challenges that I had was dealing with different types of opinions of doing things. This person wanted to do it their way, another person wanted everybody to do it the same way. And it was like having disagreements, and you guys know very well about working in groups. A lot of times you had to deal with different types of, different opinions, and you had to go into those, like those, let's say, not arguments, but those, healthy discussions in terms of, of how to do things and find a way to make it happen. And it was a struggle for me. So I had to learn more about communication skills. I had to improve my leadership skills in making sure that everyone was doing their role. And we worked together as a team for a common cause, which was to help the senior citizens in Sanford. So basically, through struggles, through trial and error, eventually we were able to overcome those differences and finish our project for the city of Sanford, in which we were able to, in fact, we were even able to do our final project, our final presentation in front of the City Commission of Sanford. It's 2 days before my graduation. So in order, it was an honor and a privilege to do a presentation in front of the City Commission of Sanford. Not necessarily as a way to finish that, finish the project in order to graduate, although that was nice and a lot of people were thinking about, but more important to give back to the community, which have become part of my life mission of giving back to the community. So 2 days later, after doing the presentation on December 14, 2016, the big day has arrived, graduation day. After all the struggles, all the situations, all the rejections, all the tears, everything crazy that has been happening in my life from childhood to adulthood has led to this moment. Thank you. Finally getting that bachelor's degree, getting it done. I graduated my bachelor's degree in business and information management with a 3.7 GPA, magna cum laude honors. But not only that, that's not the only thing that happened on that day. Something else happened on that night, on graduation night, and I'm going to show it to you guys right now. I guess I have to play the video from here. Okay. So basically, okay. Let me see if I can find the video very quick. Technical issues, it happens. Okay, that's fine. So basically, what I was going to show you guys was that on graduation night, I was recognized by the president of Seminole State College, back then Dr. N. McGee, as a graduate with autism in front of the whole class. And for me, that recognition was not necessarily for for me or anything, just to say I'm special or anything like that. For me, that recognition was more towards helping, which had become part of my mission, which is to help people in the autism spectrum and other disabilities around the world. It was a way to demonstrate to society that people with autism can contribute, can make the difference. They're not a burden and they're not a liability. Regardless of the functionality level, regardless of the challenges, because a lot of times we focus on what they cannot do and we don't focus a lot on what they can do. And because of that, it became, that day specifically, became my responsibility to go to being an advocate more and to be able to be more open about my condition with autism, not to just just to show my story, but more important to help others that are going through a lot of struggles, even worse situations that I went through. So that recognition was for all of them. It was to demonstrate again to society that people with autism and other disabilities and other challenges have a purpose in the world. So overall, my autism advocacy, as I mentioned, I began in 2014. I joined the Autism Society of Greater Orlando, and I even became part of the board of directors of the organization for 2 years. In that position, I was able to learn different skills like fundraising, which for me, fundraising is sales, basically. Differences, minor differences, but it's the same approach. Be able to learn how to do fundraising, getting support from businesses, organizations, for ASGO. Later, I was fundraising coordinator with the ASD Achievement Center. Again, the same role as an organization that helps adults with autism and Altamont. And right now, recently, I became member of the board of directors of the Autism Society of Florida, just about a month ago. So advocacy is my main work. Of all the different jobs that I do, I lose count of how many jobs I'm doing today. So, but being an advocate is my most important job. And today, as a person in the spectrum, I am TV collaborator with a program that's picked up Orlando. I have my assignment called To Proposing, which I basically, I motivate people, not only people with disabilities, but everybody. Talk about different ways to, not only to motivate, but more important, for each person to take action every day in order to achieve their purpose in life. And I talk about an assignment based on my experience, my life experiences, especially as a person with autism. I'm also right now working full-time as a manager. In fact, this week, I celebrated 2 years of full-time employment as a manager with the same company, which it may not sound like a lot of years, but as a person in the spectrum, it's something that is unheard of. Unfortunately, because unfortunately, there's a 90% unemployment rate for adults with autism still. And I just wanted to show, that again, demonstrate that people with autism can contribute and can make that difference regardless of the functionality level or challenges. I'm a motivational speaker. I do public speaking at different topics, not only autism, but also mental health, bullying, and other things. And again, author of the book called An Autism, A Scripted Life, which is available in Amazon, and have a little bit available here if anybody's interested after the presentation. So overall, you guys have seen a little bit about my life as a person, as a motivational speaker, as an advocate with autism. Basically, my message for all of you is for you to think about 2 questions. That will be my homework for you guys. These are 2 questions to ponder. In terms of what you're doing in your life, what you're working on towards achieving. And these are 2 questions that I want you guys to really, really ponder. Here we go. Number 1, when you wake up, I want you to think about this question: what can I do today that will get me closer towards achieving my purpose? Whether it is not only here at work, but also in your family, health, friendships, relationships. What, in all areas of your life, what is it that you can do every day that will get you closer towards achieving your purpose, achieving your goals, achieving your mission? That will be the first question for the morning. And the second question is for at night, which is, was I able to do what I said I was going to do? And again, those are 2 questions that I want you guys to ponder every day Because at the end, regardless of who we are, regardless of what we have gone through, regardless of our background, all of us have a purpose. And that's what we need to achieve, we need to recognize more, especially in today's world when there's so many things going on. Each person has a purpose, and that's something that I want you to never, ever forget. As you have seen, despite, according to most statistics in society, I'm not even supposed to be here. But through effort and also, especially spiritual, which is the key. God, is the key. The most important thing is to never give up and to have something that is big, that will push you every day towards achieving that purpose. So those are my two questions for all of you to take it with you and to really think about for the rest of your life, basically. So overall, that's about it. Thank you. By the way, I took me like 3 years to get that car, so I did like a vision board of it 3 years ago, and I was able to get it last year, so. Not to brag or anything, I wouldn't, but it's because I did a vision board a couple of years ago, and I had that car and was able to find, to make it happen. So that's what I want all of you guys to do, making it happen, whatever that goal is. So again, thank you so much for letting me be here today.